You're applying for a job and suddenly you're expected to provide a salary expectation. What, I can choose?
We gon' party like it's your birthday.
Stop. Proper research is key to giving a good answer. If you know where you stand, you can demand what's appropriate for you. I will walk you through the process of estimating your salary using a practical example. So I'm going to take a resume and a real job that we're going to apply for. Let's start. In this example, I will focus on my field of expertise, which is space engineering. And we're looking for something in Germany. But you can apply the process to any other field in any country. Obviously, I will talk about jobs mainly in the industry where you can negotiate the salary. There are places where the wages are fixed, like government institutions and university. But I give a bonus tip for tweaking your salary in those places by the end of this video. Let me introduce Priya with some key facts from her resume. Priya has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from a university in India. Priya finds a research position in the Indian Space Research Organization. She decides to do a master in space engineering in Germany. After about 2.5 years, she finishes her degree and applies for space jobs in Germany. Priya finds this job, which seems to be a perfect fit for her. Subsystems engineer, mechanical engineering, male, female, diverse. This is a real job ad that I found at the time I made this video. I don't want to give out the name of the company and will only list the most relevant parts of the job description. Priya is super excited and clicks on the apply button. Everything is easy to answer, just basic info and standard document uploads. But Priya stumbles upon this field and she's not sure what to write. The first thing she does is to use Google and search for starting salaries of space engineers in Germany. She finds different websites, job portals, and studies about salaries for the space sector. She creates a list of salaries from her findings. There are numbers for average salaries and starting salaries, but the range is huge. Now Priya is even more confused. She knows that more factors need to be considered, but she finds it hard to grasp them and come up with a meaningful final number. Before we start our journey of calculating Priya's estimated salary, I want to show you the factors that are relevant for determining it. These are the main factors that decide about the salary. Bigger companies normally pay significantly more than small companies. In some states and cities, you will get a much higher salary, but keep in mind that the living costs often correlate with the local salaries. Priya could choose to work in the automotive industry, which currently pays a little more in Germany, but that also depends on the state of the economy. With the low unemployment rate and the demand for qualified workers, you have a much stronger position. Obviously, the more relevant and longer your expertise, the better. You can apply different starting salaries depending on whether you have a bachelor's or master's or even a PhD. It's also relevant where you graduated from. First, what type of university is it? In Germany, we have universities and universities of applied sciences, whereas the first have a slightly better image. Second, is it a renowned and high-ranking university? Third, the country in which you studied is relevant too. It gives the employer more confidence that you're familiar with the local work culture. It's less likely for an entry job, but if you get to lead a team, you'll get a higher salary with that responsibility. There are also some minor factors that can be useful in the negotiation and which I will bring into play later. We will start with estimating a range that is more accurate than the one from Priya's initial search in Google. I will go through different methods that contribute to our range. I will use at least 2 calculators from trusted sources that provide slightly more accurate basic numbers that we can work with. I put the links in the description. Both websites are only available in German. I'm using a translated version by Google for you. Don't wonder if some text sound a bit funny. First, we enter the job. In Priya's case, it's space engineering. Here we got it. As upper category, we select manufacturing. As lower category, we can choose other types of vehicles. You could also select the categories traffic and aeronautics, but it gives the same result. Priya has a master's degree and the location of the company is in the state of Bavaria in Germany. Priya is 26. Is it a permanent or limited contract? In the job ad, it says permanent. The company has more than 1,000 employees. You may not find out if the company pays according to a wage agreement with a union. Then just say not specified. With a quick search in Google, I could find that the company does not have a wage agreement. How long have you worked in the company? Priya hasn't worked in that particular company, but she has 1 year relevant full-time work experience that we can put in here. Finally, we check our data once more and click on calculate. So now comes the confusing part. You get 2 numbers, one for the estimated monthly gross salary for women and one for men. This is done on purpose to highlight the unfairness in how women and men are paid different wages. Below on the website, there's a lot of information about the gender gap. I won't go into that topic in this video. I will focus on the main key takeaway for Priya here. Everyone with the same qualifications, no matter if man, woman, or diverse, should be paid the same. Therefore, Priya and everyone else take the higher value. That amounts to 64,716 euros per year. I quickly want to show you something. If Priya had looked for a job in another state like Saxony, the salary would have gone down to 52,692 euros. If she had chosen a small company with 20 employees in Bavaria, the salary would have gone down to 54,768 euros. Now, a small company in Saxony gives us 44,604 euros. A significant difference of more than 22,000 euros compared to our initial search. You can see that it is important to take the factors company size and location into consideration. You can't go with the nationwide average values that you find online. Here's another website, and I'm going to skip the process. It's almost the same. Both numbers aren't too far off from each other. But it doesn't end here. We do a few more things. By the way, I have a few great followers who constantly support me. I know you're watching this, and I really appreciate every like you give and every single comment you make here or in person. And everyone, you can help me reach more college students with my tips by simply clicking on like, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you. Okay, here's what we do. We look for the wage agreement for that industry in the region. Here in Germany, it's called Tarifvertrag. And for this industry, it's handled by IG Metall, the Industrial Union of Metal Workers. I put the links to the following tables in the description. You'll find this table which shows the salary group in the first column. For Bavaria, you can also see 3 pay levels. First, we take the next link from the description to find out Priya's salary group. Again, I used Google Translate, so some descriptions sound a bit weird. Anyway, pay group 11 describes Priya quite well. She studied mechanical engineering for 4 years and then space engineering for an additional 2 years. Going back to the table, Priya finds herself at 5,090 euros per month, 61,080 euros per year. Pay level A is for entry positions. If you have experience of more than 18 months, you can directly go to level B, but the duration is negotiable. And now pay attention, the wage agreement refers to a 35-hour week. The data I used from the salary calculators refer to a 40-hour week. We can convert our number to match 40 hours per week and we get 69,806 euros. But keep in mind that the company does not have a wage agreement and will most likely pay less. Therefore, we decide to exclude this number from our basic range. We also check portals like Glassdoor and Kununu to get some insider info about the salaries. But we've got to be careful here. We don't know if the data is correct. There should at least be several dozen entries to make a comparison. Some other major problems I faced were I couldn't find salaries of people with about 1 year work experience. I don't know their qualification and how many hours they work. Then the company has different branches in Germany and that may distort the results. Here's the range I put together from these websites for comparable jobs. What this tells us is that we may have to be prepared to get a counter offer on the lower end. At least we can see that we're not demanding anything exorbitantly high with our current salary range. Since there are too many uncertainties, we decide to exclude these numbers from our range. This data can be useful in many cases. If you find many entries for the branch in the right region and the right position, you can go ahead and add your results to your range. We can also do research about salaries in forums. Again, we got to be careful here because we don't know if this information is true. We also don't know if the person's situation is comparable to ours. The post may also be older. This method may work well for very large brands, but we'll exclude this information too in our case. If you happen to know someone in the company, you can ask what a reasonable range is. You can also ask for your professors about their experience and opinion. On job portals, you may also find similar jobs for which the company provides a salary range in the job ad. I couldn't find anything for our case though. Here's an overview of all the ranges that we found so far. In our case, Priya will stick to the range that we initially got from the online salary calculators. Now, you don't want to provide a range because your employer could directly pick the lower end. Go for a value that you think is the right salary for your service and that you feel comfortable with as a basis for negotiation. I would start on the left and move to the right depending on a few factors that we haven't yet considered. Remember, there are several factors that influence the salary. The range we determined so far takes many of these into account. Now we can split this range into equal slices. We go through the factors and move up the scale. The labor market for that industry is looking quite good at the moment. The unemployment rate is low. We can go a step to the right. Priya's got a degree from a reputable university in Germany, so we can go one step to the right. Priya did relevant internships, had a relevant student job, and even did her thesis on the topic of the job. Annual financial statements are public. For big companies, you'll often find a summary in a news article. It took me a minute to see that the company has been growing and making profits for the past years. Another step to the right. Priya didn't do any special trainings and didn't get relevant certification. We stay where we are. Priya doesn't have any outstanding achievements to show regarding her soft skills. For For example, with respect to having led a team or having done public speaking. Priya hasn't published her research, and although she has worked in the past, she can't come up with a quantified outstanding achievement. Again, we stay where we are. This is the number that Priya feels comfortable with. You can of course play around here and put weightings to the individual factors. Priya doesn't want to add an additional buffer for negotiation. From the results on the internet, she found that the company will probably expect offers on the lower end and there will be some competition. We can also add the work hours per week for this number to make things clear for the company. It isn't mentioned in the job description, so we don't know if they want Priya for 35, 38 or 40 hours per week. The salary is adjusted according to that, which can be either a good or a bad thing depending on whether you want to earn more or get more free time. Now, round up or down, it's a small psychological trick for the negotiation to take a number like this instead of these. You are thinking in hundreds and not in thousands while negotiating. But HR knows that, of course, and you won't trick them. You only want to show that you know how to play the game. Don't overdo it or it will look silly. And if you're invited to the interview, bring these numbers with you on a sheet of paper. This will help you in the negotiation. Good thing is you only have to do this once and change a few parameters for your other job applications. I promised a bonus tip for places that have a wage agreement. Even if you start at a university, you can negotiate your salary based on your experience. If you have comparable work experience of 1 year, you could file for a starting salary on the second pay level, or higher if you even have more experience. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. See you soon.